What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and happy Saturday to you. I just wanted to pop on here as I've been doing lately, and I did not mean to put a number sign. That was funny. Let's try that again. So we're going to talk about something pretty fun here today. So if you're just joining us, pop on in, get settled, because this is going to be a fun Instagram Live where I'm going to need audience participation, so that's you. And so hang tight. We're going to finish up this hashtag keto, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about. Hello, Tracy. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Come on in, make yourself at home, get all cozy, because I'm going to need your participation here in a minute. Because this is something that I'm sure most of us that are in this community, hello Caroline, most of us in this community, you see things that people do again and again and again that are your pet peeves. Hello, George. So what we're going to talk about here in this Instagram Live on this Saturday afternoon, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I want to hear what your number one pet peeve is that you see out there, especially in the keto community, but pretty much any pet peeve that you're noticing happening. And let me give you an example of one that really irks me. So I get people that will write to me and they will say, hey, I need to know about this ketogenic diet thing. Can you share with me full detailed, all the details about what it takes to be on a ketogenic diet? So I almost always go, really? I almost want to do a Google search for ketogenic, and then send that Google search result link in the email that says, here you go. Learn, knock yourself out. And I think my pet peeve is people are lazy. People just don't want to do the work to look something up. Sometimes people will be like, so you had this person on, and they give me the name of the guest on my podcast, and send me the link. I need to find the link. And I'm going, you can Google that person's name and my name and find that. So that's a bit of a pet peeve. And especially on Facebook, it's really, really bad, you guys, because people will ask questions that it's as simple as just do a Google search. And so I don't understand why they can't do a Google search. Anyway, that's my personal pet peeve. I see it so often that sometimes if I'm in a snarky mood, I will send them the link to the Google. But sometimes it's just a matter of, okay, you want to learn about keto? I do happen to have a book about it. Go read Keto Clarity, and people are appreciative of that, and they go check it out. And I usually say, read that book, and if there's any other questions, please feel free to write to me, because usually Keto Clarity answers most of those kind of basic questions that people have. So what are your pet peeves? Surely there are things that you notice online within the keto world, or really just online in general, or even like out there in the real world. What are those things that kind of irk you? Tracy says, my greatest pet peeve is when someone clearly is struggling with their weight and health and then condemn the health benefits of the ketogenic lifestyle. Yeah, that's, I see that one quite a bit, where there are people that are judgmental of you eating a high-fat diet that's low in carbs, and you're having your bacon and eggs and avocado, and they're over there having a bagel with cream cheese and oatmeal and orange juice, and they think that their diet choice is better than yours. So yeah, that is a big one that I see as well. And it's a tough one too, because You don't necessarily want to be argumentative with them, but it is something that's a definite pet peeve. Hello, Lindy. Flying Warrior 1966 says that their number one pet peeve are all the endless amount of supplements. And I'm not anti-supplement. I think there are certain supplements that can help people that are deficient in some specific thing. I'll give you an example. My wife, Christine, notoriously had an uber low vitamin D level several years ago, down as low as 9, which is really dangerously low. And we had to put her on 10,000 IU of vitamin D3 gel caps to bring her vitamin D back up. And that was 10,000 IU a day that she took for right at about 6 months and finally got it up into the healthy range. So I'm not totally anti-supplement, but I agree with your sentiment. There are so many supplements out there, and if you eat real, whole, nutritious foods, for the most part, you won't need so many supplements. I still think a good multivitamin that's iron-free is good for most people that are on a ketogenic diet. Iron-free because you get a lot of iron from the foods you eat on a ketogenic diet, especially if you eat red meat. So, and probably specific ones, if you have blood sugar disorder, you might want to take berberine, for example. It's a good blood sugar modulator. But I agree with the sentiment of let's not just kind of blast our bodies with all these vitamins for no good reason, vitamins and supplements. When people say you can't live without carbs, Toronto Keto says that is their number one pet peeve. So, yes, Toronto, that is a big one as well. And I tell people often, you can't live without carbs? Really? Wow. Well, your body would beg to differ, because your body actually can't live without fat. And it can't live without protein. The only macronutrient that your body can live without is carbohydrate. There is no biological reason for you to ever eat carbohydrates. Ever, 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 ever. Oh, well, what about your blood sugar dropping? Okay. There are ways that the body will make glucose without you eating carbs. And so you kind of have that conversation. So I love it when people say that kind of nonsense, because they just don't know, and it's your opportunity to educate them. So, but that is a big one. Thank you for sharing, Toronto Keto. If you're just joining us, you guys, we're talking about number one pet peeve that you see out there in the online or even in your real life world about keto. I hate when people join a group and start out telling me everything, Caroline Roberts says. Yes. Or act like they are the most knowledgeable people in the room. That's the other one, that someone new comes in and they pretend like that they have all the answers. And I see this a lot online, you guys. There's people that, it's very obvious that the keto dieters are going to cause long-term damage to their bodies. And so I don't understand why there's all this rage about keto. You just need to eat a balanced diet and everything would work out okay. And Jimmy Moore just needs to cut his calories. And if he just cut his calories and stop being a fat pig, he might actually get his weight and health under control. Yeah, I see all that stuff every single day. So yes, there are know-it-alls online. And those people, they just like to hear themselves talk, apparently. I've decided to lead by example. Tracy, that's the way to do it. Alrighty. George says, the word diet means your plan of eating, not weight loss. The word has been hijacked by the weight loss industry. I prefer ketogenic protocol. Yeah, ketogenic protocol, ketogenic lifestyle, ketogenic way of eating. There's definitely a semantical way of putting it that doesn't have the connotation of diet where people automatically assume it's about weight loss. So yes, the pet peeve there, George, being people assume when you say you're on the ketogenic diet that you're only doing it for weight loss, and they are totally neglecting all the great health gains that come from being on keto. 2-for-1 steak deal at the store today. That's your number one pet peeve? That sounds like a good thing, Autodoc Scott. All right, you changed my life. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you very much, Alv Madrigal. This is why we're here, to support each other and make a change. Yes, that's why I've been doing a lot more Instagram lives lately, because I find I can connect with you guys so much better. I do wish they would leave them up more than 24 hours, or at least let me save it to my camera roll. Unfortunately, that has never happened, and I've tried to figure out how to save these videos so I could post them on YouTube. Unfortunately, no. So, D-Bays RNBSN says people say the keto is bad for you. That is a pet peeve. And they say that because that's what they've been told. They say that because they've been convinced that ketosis is ketoacidosis, which is a very serious health issue and is very, very bad condition for you. But it has nothing to do with eating a low-carb, moderate-protein, high-fat diet that lowers your blood sugar and insulin levels and gets you healthy and lowers your inflammation levels. It's nothing but a positive thing, but unfortunately, because of the negativity that's been put out there about it, and this isn't new, ketosis has been vilified ever since Dr. Atkins was out there trumpeting his diet. But now that keto is a popular trend, it's all kind of coming back up again, and it's being reinforced by doctors that say it's bad, and registered dietitians that say it's bad, and so-called health experts. So yes, that is a huge pet peeve. Again, if you're just joining us, guys, welcome in, welcome in. I need your help. I'm looking to hear your number one pet peeve as it relates to keto. You're seeing things online, on social media. You're hearing people on podcasts. You're engaging with people out in your community, maybe even in your own family or your coworkers. What are those things they're saying about keto that's a pet peeve? And I started this off with people write to me and they say, hey, I just heard about this keto thing and I heard you're the expert. Tell me all about how to do it. Okay, there is this thing called Google. You can type in ketogenic. I do have a book called Keto Clarity. I have another book called The Keto Cure. I have a new book coming out November the 6th called Real Food Keto. Every single one of them tells you how you can eat keto. So it's a little bit insulting to write to someone who has written books about the subject and you have not bought those books, and then to ask you to tell them in great detail all of the ins and outs of how to do what they wrote about in their book. It's very insulting, actually. So if you read the book and then you go, well, you didn't address, and then you share what I didn't address, I'm more than happy to talk about that and to give you answers and even to address it on one of my podcasts. But don't ask me how do you do keto if you haven't read my book Keto Clarity yet. All right, Megalift 65, people who don't want to give this way of eating any time. They want instant results. Yes, it does take time, and yeah, that is a huge pet peeve. I did that keto diet thing for 3 whole days, and all I got was a headache, and I was lethargic. I didn't feel good. That's the worst diet known to mankind. And I'm going, 3 days? Really? Really? Keto adaptation takes at least 2 weeks in most people, upwards of 4, maybe up to 8 weeks for people that are very insulin resistant to get fully keto adapted. That's why I tell people, if you're going to try this way of eating, you need to try it for at least 30 to 60 days. I prefer 60 days because if you ain't seen nothing at the end of 60 days of doing this, which is 2 full months, then yes, please move on to the next thing. But you should see something, even if it's not weight loss. Sometimes people only look at weight loss. Oh, I've only lost 3 pounds on the scale. And I that's another pet peeve of mine. I feel great. My triglycerides have dropped 50 points. My HDL's gone up 20 points. My glucose is down. My insulin is down. I feel fantastic. My mental health has never been better. I just feel fantastic. But I've only lost 3 pounds. I'm like, get out of town. You're killing me, Smalls. Yeah, and I think someday we will get to that point where people won't focus so obsessively about weight loss, but we're not there yet. People still like the weight loss, and weight loss is cool. I'm not discounting anybody that's lost weight and done well, because that is a huge side effect of going keto, but it's not the primary reason you go keto. You go keto to heal your body, and it's that healing of the body that helps you lose the weight. But yes, you're right, Megalift. They want instant results. If it doesn't happen lickety-split, they move on to the next thing, and before long they get bigger and bigger, and then they come back to keto when they realize, oh, I put all the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Instagram 72013 says, overdosed on pecans and almonds, major craps today, not worth it, never again. Well, good. I'm glad you figured that out about yourself. So we are looking at number 1, pet peeves about keto. What are you hearing out there from your friends, your family, your coworkers, and even online on Facebook and Instagram and where people are talking? What is it that kind of riles you up when you see that? You kind of go, here we go again. Steph is up to something. Thank you for sharing about your brother. Thank you. Auto Doc Scott says, fasting is bad for you. They do say that, don't they? They'll usually say, well, why are you starving yourself? So that's the pet peeve. You're starving yourself, not realizing that your body eats even when you're not actively giving it food. Your body's eating. And especially when you're doing some extended fasting. You just talk about intermittent fasting, people lose their minds of 16 to 18 hours, people lose their minds over intermittent fast. Oh, you're starving yourself. No, I'm completely satisfied. I don't need to eat. But then you start talking about extended fasting, and I've done 3 21-day fasts, and I've done one fast I did 28 out of 31 days one January. I was trying to go the whole month without eating just to see what that would be like. And you should have heard some of the people when I started talking about how long I was fasting, and they're like, do you have a mental disorder that you don't want to eat? What? And I even hear people kind of mock fasting of, well, I love eating too much to fast. Well, you're exactly the person that needs to fast, by the way. But yeah, people do believe it's bad for you, and they don't know all the benefits of it. I usually, to those people, say, go read the Complete Guide to Fasting. Wrote a book about it with Dr. Jason Fung, and it explains why it's not unhealthy and why you probably do need to add it. You can save them to highlights. I can save my Instagram lives to highlights? I have never seen that option to save to highlights, but I will look for it. Low Carb Keto for Life. Thank you for that. Because I am putting out a lot of videos lately, and I wish that I could save them to the camera roll, but I had no idea that you could save your Instagram lives to highlights. I knew you could your stories, but I've never seen the option, or at least on my screen, to save them to highlights. I'll look that up. Thank you for the tip. Steph is up to something, says, my pet peeve is when people say high fat gives you a heart attack. And again, it's the culture. It's what the culture has told us. It's what we've always believed, is that the fat clogs your arteries and gives you a heart attack. And what they're not understanding and people aren't getting educated about is, yes, there's cholesterol and fat in those arteries when they get clogged and you get a heart attack. But the cholesterol is there for a reason. Here's what happens. You eat carbohydrates. They're very highly inflammatory. And even beyond carbohydrates, vegetable oils. Pick up any snack food. Next time you're like in a grocery store or a convenience store, just pick up some random baked good, candy, something, and look at the ingredients. You will inevitably see at least one and usually multiple forms of sugar. You will also see some derivative of corn on there. You'll also see some grain, whole wheat, some kind of a grain on there. And then the last one that people don't realize is also highly inflammatory is some kind of partially hydrogenated oil, some vegetable oil. Okay? So you put all of those things combined into your body, every single one of them is highly inflammatory. So donuts, for example. So a donut has sugar. It has wheat. It has these bad oils, the vegetable oils I was just talking about. Has all of that. And probably high fructose corn syrup, which would be the corn derivative. And so you're eating these things, and your body responds by inflaming itself. And the reason the body inflames is it's trying to get rid of this toxin you've just put in your body. People don't realize this, that when they eat that kind of crap, their body's literally trying to attack this invader and get it out of them. Well, when it attacks, that leads to the inflammation. So the inflammation then ends up not just all over the body, but specifically in the arterial wall. Well, with enough consistent inflammation, guess what happens in the body to try to deal with that inflammation? Cholesterol comes like Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day. I'm dating myself, but Mighty Mouse comes in there in the form of cholesterol to try to lower that inflammation that's taking place. And what happens is consistent eating of crappy garbage causes the inflammation to continue. The cholesterol keeps coming to save your life, by the way. The cholesterol's there to save your life. But then it gets backed up. And that's when it starts to clog the arteries. So what caused it? Was it the fat or was it the carbohydrate? It was the carb in the form of sugar and grains mixed with a really bad oil that's highly inflammatory, speeds up the inflammatory process. And it's then the cholesterol in your body that's trying to save you. And yet everybody looks at that cholesterol and says, that's the culprit. We need to lower fat, we need to lower cholesterol, because that's what we see when we cut open arteries. It's all clogged up. Well, it's clogged up because you ate crap that forced the cholesterol to go there. And I often give the analogy, and I put this in my book, Cholesterol Clarity, but I often give the analogy of cholesterol being like the firefighter, and inflammation is the fire. And if you want to put out the fire, you need the firefighters. And so if the fire happens, guess who's on the scene of the crime? It's the firefighters. So if a firefighter goes to the scene to put out the fire, why are we blaming the firefighter for the fire? No, the firefighter's there to help deal with the fire, not to actually be the one that started the fire. So hopefully that analogy can help with some of that stuff as you see that one pop up again and again. Instagram 72013. Please bring cooks to sell at Low Carb Houston. Oh, I think you meant books. Yeah, I'm not sure what the book situation will be like there. It's a little bit too late now to get them shipped there in time. So if I bring them, I'd have to bring them on the plane with me. And I'm not sure how much room I'll have in my luggage to bring a lot of books. But I'll do my best. So thank you. I'm excited for your new book. Thank you. Real Food Keto, coming November the 6th. Go pre-order right now. You can get the paperback or the Kindle. You can pre-order those right now. realfoodketo.com. Eat, deplete, repeat. I totally agree. Stick with it if you want metabolic flexibility. Yep. All right. So the next pet peeve, Rachel, you have it. Rachel K973, obsession about the scale. Stepping on that dumb thing every day. Yes, I want you guys to go onto Google when you're off of here, and I want you to look up, just put in quotation marks, kill your scale. So it's a video by my friend Sean Croxton. We've been podcast buddies for a very long time. And Sean used to be in the health world and doing a lot of podcasts and videos. And one of the ones he did one time was he was helping clients, and he kept hearing this thing about the scale over and over and over again. So he did a great video that I can't do it near like Sean Croxton did. So go look up Kill Your Scale. But yes, I often call the scale a lying liar that lies, and it does not tell you the whole story about what's going on in your body. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in the scale that they forget good things are happening in their body. And my own mom is a victim of this because she lost a lot of weight. I've talked about her. She has myasthenia gravis. She has to take a very high dose of steroid, packs on a lot of pounds on her. So I put her on keto a couple years ago, and she lost about 40 pounds or so. But then slowly the weight started kind of coming back on a little bit. But she felt good. She was able to sleep better. She had all these great improvements in her health. But because the weight became a struggle, she totally gave it all up. And she kind of sheepishly came to me a few months back and said, yeah, I stopped doing keto. I'm like, Mom, you're killing me. You're doing so good. So hopefully she gets back on it soon. But yes, stepping on that dumb scale every single day does nobody any good, does it, Rachel? The all-bacon keto diet freaks me out. Well, the guy that came up with that, Dan Quibble, I remember when he was thinking about doing this, I actually met him at a book signing. He lives in Toronto, or Canada. Where does he live? Montreal or Toronto. I did 3 stops in Canada on my book tour with the Ketogenic Cookbook. Anyway, I met him there, and he was telling me, hey, I want to try to just eat bacon for 30 days. So he called it the Bacon Challenge. And so I don't see it as a bad thing in kind of a short term. So your pet peeve is people that do that. I assume you also have trouble with people that only eat eggs for a period of time, or only eat meat, the whole carnivore diet for a period of time. Yeah, I know people that if I would love to know what freaks you out about it. That's really interesting to me that freaks you out. But it is a pet peeve for some people. Just eat keto and do it in the traditional way. But people always like to have their own little spin on things. And so maybe that's what the bacon keto diet does for some people. Low Carb Keto for Life says their pet peeve about keto is if you're not doing keto a certain way, you're doing it wrong. The whole keto police. Oh, you're talking my language now, because people, there's been great debate about should you have a high protein ketogenic diet, or should you have a high fat ketogenic diet, or should you count net carbs, or should you count total carbs? I could go down the list of all the different variations on keto. Oh, should you have carb ups, or should you try to stay in ketosis all the time? I mean, there's so many ways, and yes, people are very dogmatic about their preferred way. I happen to stay in ketosis and pursue that 100% like all the time, but I would never pretend to tell somebody that's feeling good doing a carb up that they're wrong, and how dare they do a carb up. I would never say that. I'm a results-oriented kind of guy, and I want people to get results. And my mantra from the very beginning of my blog in 2005 is find what works for you and then do it for the rest of your life. So if you found what works for you and it happens to be a vegan keto diet, then I'm going to cheer you on your vegan keto diet because you found what works for you. Unfortunately, not everybody has that point of view. What's really interesting on that is if you say you're all for people to do a vegan keto diet, but then you ask a vegan, what do you think about someone doing a keto diet? Oh, no, that's horrible. Oh, meat is murder. And it just, it's just a one-way street there. And so that's always been a pet peeve as well. Eat, deplete, repeat. You can if they are a certain length short. I don't know what that means, but thanks. Let's see here. Thanks for joining us. Tailored Keto Health says, yes, so true. Ketosis is a state, not a particular way of eating. Everyone is so different. Yes, I have to keep my carbs about 35-ish grams or below. That's a little higher than I used to be. I could only have about 25 grams of total carbs. And then I was able to up it to 30, and now it's up to about 35. So slowly I'm increasing my carb tolerance. My protein threshold is also relatively low, somewhere around 80 to 90 grams. When I lift weights, it's somewhere closer to 100 grams. And then fat to satiety, and that's what works for me. And I remember when I first started doing my testing of nutritional ketosis, I had a diet where I was really trying to test the whole therapeutic effects of nutritional ketosis. And so I did 85% fat, 12% protein, 3% carbohydrate. So people would watch me do that and they go, oh, well, if you want to be ketogenic, you have to do 85, 12, 3. And I'm like, no, that's what I happen to do. That doesn't mean you need to mimic that. So in Keto Clarity, I was very clear about making sure people understood that your keto, whatever it is that gets you into nutritional ketosis and gets you all the benefits, it's yours. It's customized to you. You're bio-individual. Don't try to mimic what someone else is doing. So if a 60% fat and 30% protein and 10% carbohydrate diet works for you to get you into nutritional ketosis, more power to you, number one. But that's great. I think that's perfect. Some of us need to have higher fat and more moderate protein and low carb. And we're all on the same team. I think sometimes that gets lost too. And that's the pet peeve too, is people are so tribal about their chosen way of eating and style of doing it that they vilify anybody that's not their way. So that's a huge pet peeve. Hello, Paleo Pharmacist. If you're just joining us, like Paleo Pharmacist and Karen and Haggis Mac Jedi and Christos Keto, if you're just joining us, we are talking about your number one pet peeve about keto. What is it that kind of gets your heart rate going up a little bit when you see it talked about online, you see it on social media, you hear it from coworkers, from family members, from friends, people say stupid stuff. And it's frustrating and it's a pet peeve. So what are those things that are the pet peeve to you? So I see several people here wanted to come on live, and unfortunately I don't want to come on live with anybody right now. Thomas, Maria, Tracy, and Joe, thank you for being willing to come on camera, but I need you to write down there what your pet peeves are. So thank you for that. So yeah, there's just so many I could get into of pet peeves, but I think it's just the judgment of other people's way of eating. At the end of the day, it's just food. So I don't understand why there's such angst about how somebody chooses to eat. You know, and sometimes people try to peg me, oh, you want everybody to eat keto. No, I don't. No, I don't. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everybody to put their bodies in the best possible shape to be optimal. And yes, I advocate for a ketogenic diet because it works for me and I'm trying to share it with other people that need it. But if you feel good on a paleo diet, please do a paleo diet. If you feel good doing a vegan diet and you've been able to do it long term with no health consequences, please do that. I am probably the most amicable person in the whole diet industry about how you eat, because I don't care how you eat. I want you to choose what makes you healthy. And I think those people that are very dogmatic about, well, you can only do X, and you fill in the blank of what X is for the diet, or else you're not doing it right. And I think that's a very dangerous position to take. Tailored Keto Health, preach it, Jimmy. Yes, health is the goal. We're all on the same team. Exactly. And I tell people that often, Tailored Keto, that vegans and paleo and primal and Whole30 and keto, we're all on the same team. We're all basically kissing cousins of each other because we're trying to get people to eat real food. We're trying to get them to pursue better health markers. We're giving them various modalities to try out. But at the end of the day, it's the outcome. It's what the end result is of doing those things that we're all trying to get people to accomplish. So if you can get people on a paleo diet and they see all of their health markers get incredibly better, then they need to eat paleo. If you get people on a ketogenic diet because they're insulin resistant and they need to get the blood sugar and insulin levels down and inflammation down, then that's the thing that everybody should rally around. So that is a huge pet peeve. Truth be told, the bacon diet freaks me out because of the nagging voice in the back of my mind that tells me bacon is bad. It doesn't freak me out as much as the standard American diet. Yes, that is a real and present danger. So thank you for your honesty there. I got to tell you, when I first started on the Atkins diet, that was the hardest thing was I get to eat fat now, but isn't that fat going to give me a heart attack? And I was already on a statin drug at the time when I started Atkins in 2004. I was on, I think at that time I was on Crestor because Lipitor had really bad side effects. And so did Crestor, by the way. And I hung on to that Crestor all through the first 9 months of my Atkins journey until I finally went, what am I doing? I have lost a gob of weight, and I've been able to basically come off of every other prescription I was on. And I threw those statin medications in the garbage can, and I never went back on a single medication ever again, ever since. And so you have to really convince your brain up here. And I would encourage you, eat, deplete, repeat, to just go find articles that will reassure you that fat is not the enemy that you think it is. There's a great book Gary Taubes wrote called Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. And it gets into some of the science-ness of it all without being too sciencey. So go check that book out if you haven't read it yet. There's so many books I could recommend to you, but that's a really good one to get started with if you want to try to convince yourself that bacon fat's not going to harm you. My pet peeve is the same as yours, Jimmy. Another is people shame others for their weight and body shape instead of celebrating others' wins. I have mad respect for so many transformations. Yes, the paleo pharmacist. I see this one a lot too. Somebody started off at 400 pounds and they've lost triple digits. And yet they're still big. And so people go, well, if that keto diet was so good, why is that person still fat? Not realizing that they're considerably down in weight from where they were. And their health markers are all considerably better. And they don't take any more prescription medications. And they can get up in the morning and be active and be physical. The judgment that happens online especially, and especially for those of us like me who put ourselves out there, it's ruthless. And it's really disappointing to me because I see good people that could be contributing so much to this community, but they're so afraid, and they'll write to me, I don't know how you do it. I'm so afraid to put myself out there. People will judge me. I'm like, yeah, you just ignore it. I mean, it's just chatter at this point. But people just, they can't handle that. And it's unfortunate that people feel like they have to do that. And in some small way, it makes them feel better about themselves, I suppose. Adam J. McManus says, my number one pet peeve about keto is the whole, oh, my keto is so dangerous, you're eating way too much fat and cholesterol-rich foods. Yep, we talked about that one a little bit earlier on. It's an education thing. The dogma about dietary fat being harmful, I think we're coming close to the end of it, but it's going to take a few more years, and there will still be people that believe that it's harmful. It's really hard to tell people that Hitler wasn't a bad guy when everybody knows he was a bad guy. So Let's see here. When people, especially doctors, say keto is a weight loss diet and won't listen to the incredible, sometimes for me, life-saving benefits, tailored keto health. Yes, somebody mentioned that earlier as well, that it's only about weight loss because of the George mentioned that, because of the connotation of what diet means. Diet is just way of eating. And so if the way of eating makes you healthy, we can't talk about the health part because it's a diet, it's about weight loss. So yeah, that's a big one. All right, guys, I got a text from my wife, Christine, so I got to pop off of here. But this was a great conversation. Hope you enjoyed talking about pet peeves as it relates to keto. But I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.